Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, so we're going to get in with the coaches. We have T.C. Taylor, head coach, Jackson State University, with the number 2 FCS class, according to Light on Sports, and the number 1 HBCU FCS signing class for 2023. So certainly getting off on the right foot anytime that you get a good class and it's ranked anywhere above top 5. You know, I'd be like, you might have to make sure you have a big party for us, coach. Give me a little nervous, take a step back. Yeah. How you doing, coach?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Glad to be on the show again. You know, anytime I can get on here and talk a little ball with you guys, it's an exciting time. You know, guys are working hard here on campus. Like you said, we had an amazing signing class, still looking to add a few more pieces, but I'm doing well. It's a good start.
Good deal. How you doing, Charles?
I'm doing phenomenal, Doc. I'm doing phenomenal. I get a chance to give my coach on here.
You've been smiling quite a bit lately.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm a happy camp.
And welcome to episode 363 Inside the HBCU Sports Radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU for all things HBCU sports, for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, and facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports, or as we just call it, the HBCU sports pedagogy, or as Coach Taylor would tell you, you know, top 2, top 5. Top number 1 HBCU recruit class, you know. I'm just saying. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment. I don't know if it's something about the recruiting class or what. Maybe he's out there recruiting himself, but he's out to get it done. We're filming from our home studios and sitting in a Signal Live at K-Sway's 12:30 a.m. studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Fame in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency, LLC. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. Let's get right to it. In all seriousness, like I said, Light on College Sports 2023, FCS South recruiting rankings as of February 7, 2023. They recognized Jackson State with 59 points, which talked about 3 stars in terms of 17 players, at least, that they were able to compute. 2 4-star players, which is always significant. Obviously, you know, stars are what they are. But how do you feel about this recruiting class just overall in terms of your coaches and what you're able to do to beat the bush to get some talent in Jackson State University?
The reason I feel good about it, Doc, is I think we answered needs. You know, we lost quite a few guys to the portal this past December. And I thought we did a good job of refilling those positions with quality players that we think can come in here and play for us right away. You look at those two 4-star kids, you know, Seven McGee, Phil Webb, you know, coming from LSU and Oregon, those type of programs. Anytime you can bring those type of caliber athletes into a program, you know, it does tremendous for our football team, does a tremendous thing for our football team, as well as those 3 stars. But to be honest with you, we don't recruit like we're basically looking for the stars. We're looking for guys that fit what we want to do. That's why the visits are so important, you know, because, you know, I not only do you want them to be good football players, but they got to fit your culture. They got to fit your culture. And a lot of times when you dibble-dabbing around and bringing all these new faces in here, if they can't gel and put a good chemistry together and a good product on the field, you're going to have problems, no matter how talented they are. So I feel like we, myself and our coaching staff did a phenomenal job meeting those parents when they came in on the visits, sitting down, vetting these young men. And, I think all of them was a great fit for our program.
Good point. Charles, you want to follow up with a question?
Yeah, and I wanted to ask a little bit about this, Coach, in this regards. One thing that struck me with this recruiting class is there isn't a regionality to it. There are players from New York, from Florida, California, Mississippi, Georgia. You guys really, for the most part, really opened up the recruiting map with regards to Jackson State University. Talk a little bit about that.
Definitely. I mean, when you look at it across the United States, it's a lot of football players that want to be a part of Jackson State. No matter what state you're coming from, if you can play the game, you're a good human being, we want you to be here, whether that's Cali, Hawaii, or whatever, and you can help us win games and you're looking to get an education. And that's how we kind of looked at it. At the same time, too, we had to dig back into Mississippi. There was some good talent here in state that wanted to be a part. Parents went to school here, and, that puts more butts in the seats. So we wanted to bridge that gap too, as well, those Mississippi kids. But, it's open to the nation to meet with me when it comes to recruiting. If you want to be a part of Jackson State, it can help Jackson State and help us win football games. We're going to open you with open arms.
Coach, how has the nature of recruiting changed? And you talked about guys who could come in and play right away. Gone are the days where, a freshman comes in and kind of waits on his time. Develops. But how does that change? How does that change, the way you evaluate players?
Well, like I said, it's a day-to-day deal where I evaluate our current roster, and the play right now, guys, are, like I said, the guys that you're going to be the needs when you get kind of low at certain positions. But still at the same time, you got to be careful with your culture. So that's why we still had a pretty good crop of high school kids coming in as well. But we know how it is now. I mean, everybody wants to win right now. And that's what the portal allows you to do if you can get the right kids out of there. But coaches sitting around in programs 4 or 5 years now, it's tough to do because they really don't give you time to develop. So you got to win right now. So, that's the reason you go in the portal. And also when you bring in those high school kids, they got to be able to play. When I played football here at Jackson State, red shirt was the thing. You tell a kid red shirt now, he's ready to leave your program. That every kid wants to play right now, and that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about fit, obviously needs and culture. Big event this past Saturday really showed out the Jackson State University in terms of a lot of momentum and what that culture is like in terms of love and affinity for Jackson State University, all things including obviously the football team and you connected to it. How do you measure like culture and fit? What are some things that you can look at or maybe ask in terms of trying to see if somebody likely will be able to fit into your culture?
Well, you put all your chips on the table for them when you're talking to these recruits and tell them what's their expectation on a day-to-day basis. We talk about working hard, wanting that degree, represent your family well while you're here. And then we do a good job of checking, what are some things you've done at your past places that you've been to, even at the high schools, and if a couple of those boxes don't check, then we kind of move on from you, and that's a good, I think myself and our coaches did a great job of that. But every program has a culture. If you can get guys to buy into it and believe in those things and believe in the guy that's leading that charge, I think you got something special. Those are the programs that are really winning football games right now.
Coach, I looked at the schedule. I know y'all like to play anybody, anywhere, anytime, but I'll be watching, that's for sure. You're talking about the entertainment factor, but in all seriousness, big time matchups with your fans. Great before. So just wanted to share that. Appreciate the way that the schedule is set up and how you jump into everything and just move forward by having a tough schedule. I did want to give you one last opportunity to share anything with your fans or anything in terms of they appreciate what's going on there.
Let me
looks
fix
like
this light
they
for
went.
you.
Coach, turn on your lights.
That's that sensor went out on it.
That's that
Oh, you
yeah.
got them. Oh, man, you got them automatic lights. I see what happened. You got them automatic.
It scared me. I was like,
Energy but yeah, go ahead. Give you a minute or so to close out before we go to break.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this upcoming season. Like you said, with some of the challenges we faced early on, it's going to tell us a lot about this football team, going forward, into that second half of the season. Anytime you can start out with a team like South Carolina State, FAMU, and the Southerns and the Texas State, I'm gonna learn I'm gonna learn a lot about our football team early, and see how we can find ways to finish this thing out in the second half. I think the spring is important for us too. I'm really looking forward to what we're going to do out here in spring ball this spring, because one thing about it, we got 3 quarterbacks on campus now that can really play football. They're really good quarterbacks. It's just getting those guys, like I talk to them every day about, making sure that your teammates believe in you, and that's going to be the guy. And I think leaving out of spring ball when we're done, we'll have a good idea of what this football team is going to be looking like this year. So I want all the fans to keep the excitement. Keep the excitement, understand that we're working our butts off over here. Our kids are working their butts off over here, and that's what's amazing to me right now, Doc, is everything is new, but how quick it's coming together. And I know that equals a few wins right there, but everything is new from strength coach on down, including myself, and then this football team that we have here this spring, but just to watch it on a day-to-day basis is unbelievable. So it got to equal to something good come this fall.
I like it. Jackson State University in the house. I see you. Yeah, I got mine. I got just in case I got to get out there. I don't want no trouble. With that being said, we'd love to get you back during spring practice, whether it's pre or post. Give you some updates and give your fans some updates, and just continue to chat as you build the program and continue to move things forward.
Doc.
We want to say thank you for your time. With that, we'll be right back after this break. We'll come back and give you some updates quickly on some basketball poll rankings, and then we'll carry on and get you into some other interviews in the second part of the show. Stick with us. We'll be right back after the break. As you know, this is Jackson State University head coach T.C. Taylor.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. Go Tigers. Guard the yard.
Go Tigers. Go to guard the yard. Yeah.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go, why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Back, Doc.
All right. This is Dr. Cavil's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike is out on assignment. Let me give you the poll rankings. Not real changes here in terms of what's going on. So nobody dropped out. So we'll move through this pretty fast. Receiving votes, though, is interesting. Southern Jaguars sit at 9-11, 6-3 in terms of the conference race. Alabama A&M Bulldogs are sitting at 8-11, 6-3 in terms of the race here. You have Prairie A&M Panthers, 9-11, 6-3 in terms of big win over Bethune that sit right behind them. at 7-12, 6-3 after their trip into Texas with 10 points. So 28, 13, 11, and 10 respectively. But let's jump in the top 5. You've heard this. They stay in rankings as they are, but number 5, you have Howard Bison sit at 9, 11, 5, and 2, 61 points. Previous ranked 5. You also have at number 4, Jackson State Tigers, 11 and 8, 8 and 1. In terms of what the are doing in the poll ranking there, sitting at number 3. I think I got the wrong poll ranking here. Let me see, because they moved.
Oh,
let me make sure.
Okay, I got you.
I appreciate it. Yes, at number 4. Actually, let me start this over. Dropping out of the poll this week, there are some changes in the poll. Dropping out was Southern, as they took 2 losses this weekend in terms of they at 12 and 12, 8 and 3. Thank you for catching that, Charles. Charles got nervous when I said Jackson State. He said,
I started scrambling like, where
Grambling State Tigers at 8 and 3.
Dr. Cavil.
Oregon State Bears at 12 and 11, 5 and 3. Southern
Dr.
Jaguars.
Cavil, we on men or women?
Yep.
I'll make sure I got the right graphic up. I'm sorry.
We're doing the women.
Men.
Start out with
doing
the
women. Okay.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, fellas.
Mm-hmm.
So women, as I said, was Howard sitting at 5, Jackson State sitting at 4, Jackson State Tigers 11 and 8, 8 and 1 at 86 points. At number 3, Norfolk State Spartans sit at 17 and 4, 5 and 1, 88 points. At number 2 is North Carolina A&T State Aggies sitting at 14 and 6, 8 and 1, 3rd place votes, 104 points. And number 1 is Morgan State Bears sitting at number 1 ranking as they continue to do it for the 5th week. In terms of some of the rankings there and changes going in as we go there. Let's get back into some poll rankings. As we get into it, Charles, you have any comment in terms of the top 5 on the women's side?
No, I think you hit the nail right on the head, especially with regards to Morgan State. I mean, they're 7-0 in conference play. They have been playing some lights out basketball. So you take a look at these top 2 teams, especially in the MEAC, Morgan State and Norfolk State. They've been playing some great ball. You got Jackson State. They've won, I believe we're looking at 7 or 8 in a row now. But the teams that they're playing now are not even within, 15 points of them. So I expect Jackson State to actually move up a little bit as we go toward the we get cooking in February as we move towards Mars.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to update this poll on Thursday because it has the old poll here, and Jackson State actually moved up this week in terms of some of those talents. A&T took a loss; they went 1 and 2. Spartans they split some victories, so Jackson State slides up a little bit. So we'll see if we can get you an update on Thursday that actually reveals the major division. Let's go to a break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll get into our second interview, give you some more updates in terms of the coaching rankings. Be right back after this break.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
The new GMC Sierra with hands-free driving offers the most advanced and luxurious pickup in its class. Yeah, it rocks.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head and Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, yeah, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Coach Willie Simmons. That's Florida A&M Rattler. Oh, man. It looks good in there, Coach. You doing well?
Trying to do well, bro.
I see. Give you an update as we're doing little interviews here. Wanted to talk about this top recruiting class. Top 3 overall FCS. Number 2 in terms of HBCU ranking. 3 stars in terms of 10 players there, including a 5-star. Got your hands on a 5-star as well. I know stars are different things that fans get all excited about, but in terms of what you were able to do, talk a little bit about this recruiting class and why you're so excited about it.
Well, yeah, first off, I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out our recruiting department, my director of recruiting, Devin Risson, our director of on-campus recruiting, Kendall Perry, along with our coaching staff and support staff, did an amazing job this year of just, making FAMU a destination place for student athletes and their families to come and visit us, whether it be unofficial visits, official visits, coming to games, elite prospect camps, you name it. So we've had over 1,000 PSAs on our campus over the last year, and we have a saying here: if we can just get them on campus, we have a chance because we have something great to sell here. And, we've done a really good job over the last few years. So, like you said, the stars, obviously, it's nice to have for the fans, but, we'll see how these guys are once we strap it up in a couple of weeks and once the new coming freshmen get here this summer. But, right now we feel really good about the class we've been able to put together.
I'll let your old friend over there, Charles, follow up with a question.
Well, Coach, I wanted to ask you a little bit about being able to really retain the talent there in the Tallahassee area. Tremendous amount of talent right there in your backyard, but you guys really tapped into it and really was able to, for the most part, like retain talent that was right around Florida A&M.
Yeah, so we started, really 5.5 years ago. Our philosophy was we wanted to build a fence around the Big Bend area. The Big Bend stretches from my hometown of Quincy, Florida, Gadsden County, all the way down I-10, past Swanee County. And so it's about 10 counties right there, all small counties outside of Leon County, where Tallahassee is, obviously, but a lot of really good talent here. Oftentimes gets overlooked. And a lot of times the guys leave and go, far off to play football. And so not just retaining the high school talent here, but this past class, we did a really good job of bringing back transfers that are from the Tallahassee area. We have 5 young men of the 13 that we have in school currently through the transfer portal that are from the Tallahassee area. So we're really excited about that, to be able to not only keep our homegrown talent here, but also attract it to come back and via the transfer portal.
Hey, Coach, and I've been asking coaches this question, but from your perspective, how has recruiting changed just in the last 2-3 years, especially when you talk about the transfer portal and the way you go about recruiting players? It pretty much is in terms of recruiting guys, it's play now. From that standpoint, how do you see it from a coach's standpoint in regards to bringing guys in that can contribute right away?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that the transfer portal has allowed many of us to do is to bring guys in the mid-year. We've always really been able to capitalize off of transfers. The FCS level, we've always been able to do that. Guys transfer down over the years have been able to play right away. But typically those guys will go through spring practice, at their previous institution, and then we would get them after the spring.
much of our mid-year recruiting was geared towards the junior college players. And then obviously, if you have a really good junior college player that's coming out in the mid-year, most of your Power 5 and Group of 5 schools will be recruiting that young man. What the transfer portal has done is allowed us to really identify a lot of these guys, early on. So like I said, we have 13 signees that are currently on campus that are already here that we signed in December. And so that's the biggest change. And obviously, it allows you to fill those voids immediately. Once the season ends, you know who you're losing as far as the seniors. And so you're able to replace those guys right away. And then after the spring, you'll have a few spots left to maybe, find some in that second wave. But that's really been the biggest change. It's really affected high school recruiting, honestly. And, because you're not signing as many high school players as maybe we once had. But no, it's a changing landscape. And I think you definitely have to continue to stay on top of it to build your roster the way that you need to remain competitive.
Wanted to follow up and ask you a question. Your coaches talk about needs. One, if you would talk about how you felt you met your needs, and even more importantly for the fans, if you would, because a lot of fans like Charles, myself, if you would, think we're coaches in the stand. And so we understand what we believe are needs. But really from a coaching perspective, how do you go about understanding what are your needs from recruiting class to recruiting class?
Well, obviously, attrition is just a natural progression. You're going to lose guys every year. And so I think it's important that you try to stay years ahead, not just year to year. So you have to kind of plan out, 2 years in advance, so in 2 years, we're going to lose this number of seniors. And so you try to have a plan to replace those guys throughout. And that's how you identify your early prospective student athletes. And so for us, need-wise, we were losing some really good players off last year's team, some of the best players I've ever coached. Isaiah Land, who we just saw in the recent Senior Bowl this past weekend, best defensive player, pass rushers definitely that we've had really in a long time around here. Xavier Smith, All-American wide receiver, Christopher Duell, All-American punter. So, trying to replace those guys right away was definitely a huge priority. But really for us, our need was to really build quality depth on the offensive line and on the defensive line and in the defensive back end, the secondary. So we felt we've addressed those needs. We've signed 4 defensive backs through the transfer portal. And then we signed 3 defensive ends through the portal as well and 2 offensive linemen. And so, that was the biggest thing we wanted to make sure that we filled. And we feel that this will be the deepest football team that we've ever had here.
With that being said, we follow up in terms of scheduling. I know I saw that you personally decided who was going to be the homecoming opponent, or at least that's what I heard, through the grapevine. And so I'm trying to make sure I get down there. But I know scheduling can be challenging. You certainly have a tough schedule when you're playing in the SWAC, all the teams there. But you also had some Division II programs on there. I know purposely one seems to be on there to make sure you get home games. Can you provide any framework of how challenging scheduling has been as your program continues to ascend?
Well, the schedule that's been released is not an official university release schedule. So
that
I don't
helps
really
a lot.
want to speak on the schedule right now. Obviously, when I talk about the SWAC schedule, obviously that's not going to change. But obviously we're on a cycle to where every couple of years a different team, two teams roll off and 2 teams roll on. So we will play the Texas teams this year. So we'll travel to Houston to take on Texas Southern, and then my old stomping grounds, Prairie View will travel to Tallahassee. So there have been some rumors about who the homecoming opponent will be. I'm not at liberty to speak on that at this current time, but no, we're excited about Prairie View coming here. Obviously I know Coach McDowell has done a really good job of trying to keep the program going and take it to the next level. So, it's inevitable, that we were going to have to face those guys eventually. And we're looking forward to bringing them here. So whether it's homecoming or just a regular game, it's going to be a game that we're all looking forward to because of our ties and the familiarities with the 2 staffs and a lot of the crossover coaches that have coached on both staffs. And so we're looking forward to the Panthers coming down to the House of 7 Hills this year.
Well, Coach, I know you have a degree in marketing, so you're really good in many talent ways, not only with coaching, academically as well. You're strong as well. So with that being said, anything, because that was well done. I just want to say that. You're good. You're really good. I can't wait to get down there because every time I come down there, Coach takes care of me. I would say that for all the OG men and women out there in terms of Florida A&M, the highest of 7 hills, as they like to say around the park. Y'all are good people in terms of really knowing how to have fun. But with that being said, I'd be remiss if I didn't give you a chance to share anything that you need to share to your fans or people just in general.
Well, no, we're just really excited about the coming season. We'll start spring ball here in a few weeks, and our spring game is scheduled for April 15th. So we're looking forward to debuting a lot of these signees that we've been able to bring here over the early signing period. So it's going to be a competitive spring. A lot of positions up for grabs, even though we return a lot of players off last year's team. Every position is open. Even Jeremy Musa, our incumbent at quarterback, he understands that, and he's working extremely hard. So, we're just ready to continue to take this next step in the evolution of our program. And, the expectations are sky high here on the highest of 7 hills. They're when you coach at a place like FAMU, you understand what comes along with it. And so, we're excited. We open up right down in Miami again, to take on, Jackson State. And, so that'll be another game like it's been the last couple of years that will probably have huge implications on, the winner of the East Division. So we're preparing for that game and look forward to seeing everyone down there in Miami Gardens. And maybe Bishop will have shaved that beard that he's grown since Prime left by then. So look like he ain't shaved.
I'll be ready. I'll be ready.
What I don't know what Charles trying to prove with that little beard that he's grown all over there. So
all I know is I told him you were coming on. He said, "All right, I'm not saying I'll be ready. I'll be ready." Okay. All right. I said there's something going on that I ain't quite aware of for a year or so. And things have changed since the last time I've talked. But all seriousness, we'd love to have you back doing spring game, either post or after, to give us a little more information so we can really get into some players and see how things are moving, and some fans some information they want leading into the season. But I want to say thank you for your time. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. Continue the great work that you're doing over there, fam. You lead young men.
Look forward to seeing you, Coach.
My man. Thank you, guys.
We'll be right back after this break. I'm trying to make sure Charles gets out of here before you get in trouble. We'll be right back after this break. Yeah,
we're clear.
Good stuff.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Don't worry, Ma. We'll be there soon.
We? Is this the one?
Well, let's say I found the one who takes me to another level. Always stays calm under pressure. Most importantly, the one that helps me discover the coolest places.
This sounds wonderful.
Come outside, I'll introduce you.
They're here.
Definitely the one.
Introducing the all-new Nissan Frontier.
At CDW, analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
With Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment. We're going to get into the men's major division poll rankings. top 5 programs. We had a team that dropped out that was really on a roll for a while, but had a tough weekend as they traveled to the Alabamas. That may give you a little hint. So, but receiving most this weekend is Grambling State Tigers, 15-8, 8-3, as they continue to climb. Big victories for them this weekend. Morgan State Bears, 12-11, 5-3, 31 points. And Southern Jaguars, 12-12, 8-3, 29 points. Talking about the Southern Jaguars, they dropped out of the poll rankings this week as they lose 2 as they go to the Alabamas, both to Alabama A&M and Alabama State. Let's get in the top 5 because we have a new team in there. Tennessee State Tigers, 14-11, 6-6. They bounced back. They've won 3 straight games, so they're playing much better basketball, and they continue to prove. And with that, they're just a couple of games out of first place as the OVC is cluttered in a lot of ways. But they were not ranked last week, but they jump in the poll as they are back in the top 5. At number 4, Alcorn State Braves, hot team here, 12-11, 9-2. Got a big victory that actually puts them in first place with the 2 losses of Southern as they win in the weekend at number 1. They fall out. They're sitting at 8-3 and tied with Grambling State at 8-3. But Alcorn State Braves at 83 points are in the 5 spot as they move up a spot. Bringing us to number 3, Norfolk State Spartans, 16-7, 5-2. 1 first place vote, 85 points. They were ranked 4th, so they moved up a slot as they were doing well this past weekend. Had the big victory over their rival in Hampton. Played in New Jersey for the big classic up there, the Lex Classic, that had over 13,000 fans for a great showing in terms of New Jersey. At number 2, Howard Bison sit at 14-10, 6-1, 4 place votes, 100 points. Number 2, Howard is looking solid, and they continue to play good basketball. We'll see if they continue to make the run. But there's a team ahead of them at number 1, Maryland Eastern Shore, the Hawks. They continue to be number 1 that are playing solid as well, 14-8, 6-1, 6 first place votes, 113 points, sitting at the number 1. Maryland Eastern Shore continues to be number 1 ranking as in week number 5. Charles, any thoughts in terms of the men top 5?
Yeah, Norfolk State with that huge win over Hampton, nice out-of-conference win this past weekend. Like you mentioned, huge attendance up there in New Jersey. But if you take a look at Maryland Eastern Shore, Howard, and Norfolk State, 1, 2, 3 in the MEAC. And then we flip over to the SWAC with Grambling with a huge weekend this past weekend. And the thing that jumps out for me with the SWAC, I mean, you have the teams that are really good at the top, Alcorn, Grambling, Southern. You got kind of Midland teams right there with Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Jackson State, Alabama A&M, and Bethune-Cookman. But on any given night, those teams that are in the 2nd tier, even 3rd tier, can knock off a team in the 1st tier in the SWAC. So parity is what jumps out for me with regards to the SWAC.
I like the way you say that in terms of the tiers, but how those multiple tiers are able to go in different places and play good basketball. I have a stat that I'll bring up. I've kind of shared it. I've continued week to week and updated. I'll do that in the last part of the show, give you updates, which is going to give you some indication, as you said, just how parity is really solid right now. Let's take our last break. We'll come back on the other side, get you some more information in regards to some top 5 FCS programs, HBCUs getting it done. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this last break.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go, why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients. Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
At HBCUs, there's no limit to who we can be. Black and inspired and thriving. Black and magnetic and sing. From the classrooms to the quad, our passion is our purpose. We are leaders and legacy. So when you look at what we accomplish next, you'll know where it started. For who you are and who you want to be, we're here.
I'm a millionaire. I'm not a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. I'm not a millionaire.
Crypto is complicated, but as a tax expert with crypto experience, you can hand your taxes off to me. You do your thing, we've got your taxes. Intuit, TurboTax Live.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have the last of our guests as we have another of the top 5 ranked FCS coach, number 3 in terms of HBCU, Connell Maynor, with this recruiting class. You get it done. That's according to Light on Sports, as he has a big class coming in, which included 3.
The guys, 2 transfers and 1 high school kid, and we're gonna let them all compete. It's not like the other 2 guys are just on the back burner. They're going to still get to compete because a lot of times you get a little bit better, especially at the quarterback position, the next year that you're in that offense, So those guys are going on their 3rd year into our offense. So they should make some major jumps, but if they don't, we just have to play the best guy.
Coach, let me ask this question. You're well regarded with regards to quarterbacks, a quarterback guru, if you will. But the quarterbacks that you brought in, what do they bring to the program?
They all do a threat. The freshman is 6'6", and he threw for 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns last year. And I don't know if he's going to be able to play this year, but he's going to get an opportunity to compete. I played as a freshman. Why can't he play as a freshman? It's not because you're a freshman, you got to wait, you got to sit out. No, I'm going to play the best guy. If he come into camp, learn the system, he's throwing darts and making plays and getting us in and out of plays and just playing quarterback, moving the chains, he beat him out. He beat him out, But the other guys can do it both. They can both run the ball and throw the ball, not just one-dimensional. And that's what we're looking for. That running quarterback, Jalen Hurts, he puts a different pressure on the defense when he can pull that ball down and run it. You can't account for that. And so if you can have one, a dual-threat quarterback, you want to have one.
Sure. Probably the $1 million fan question is, what can Alabama A&M do to close the gap between Jackson State and FAMU in terms of fighting down in the SWAC East?
Well, that's where it starts. It starts with recruiting. You got to get the players. I tell everybody all the time, I'm only as good as the players, man. We was real good offense when we had Aquil Glass. We weren't quite that good last year without him. So now I tell y'all, I told y'all this before, and I tell y'all again, there's only one Hall of Fame coach in the NFL that didn't have a Hall of Fame quarterback. That's Joe Gibbs. He's the only one. All the rest of them had Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Okay, so the coach is only as good as his players, and if you got a quarterback, you got a chance. So there's no shame in my game. I mean, I can draw plays all day, but if we run, we're not gonna do too well. You know, we too old. You know, I can't do it no more. So I need the players. I need the players. So it starts with the players, and then of course, you know, Jackson is the top of the HBCU, and then Fam, and both of those guys on the outside. So it's tough picking on this side. You know, you got to play, and you got to be ready to play every week, and you got to beat Jackson and Fam, and they got to beat us. So it's gonna be tough. I wouldn't like it any other way, man.
Sure thing.
Well, Coach, I know you said us couldn't play, but I have seen you don the helmet and sling it around a little bit. So you got a lively arm, so you still got something in there. So I'm not going to take that from you.
Well, I was talking about y'all because I can still put it there, but y'all can't.
I did see you do that.
You know, y'all be covered like a blanket, man. I'm like, man, come on. I need some separation. Come on.
Hey, man. All I can do is tell them, hey, man. Yeah, let me make it this time.
Yeah, I'm only good on the golf course, Coach.
we got to take them on the golf course.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm good at the table. With that being said, I wanted to ask you about this need. You hear coaches talk about needs. Can you give us a little more information in terms of what it means to go after your needs? And more importantly, how do you evaluate? What is the process from a coach's perspective of looking at your needs?
Well, it's two different ones. Scholarship-wise, you know, you have to stay balanced with your scholarships. So the number one need was we lost scholarship players at corners, safeties, and linebackers. So we have to replace those scholarships for those guys. Okay, and it changes every year. You know, like this year we signed I think 2 offensive linemen and maybe 1 defensive lineman. We didn't have any scholarships at D-line. You know, so you can't just go out and sign 4 defensive linemen and you only got 1 scholarship at D-line. Then you got 13 scholarships at D-line, and now you're short on linebackers or safeties. So you have to replace the scholarship to where you lose them at. Then after you do that, now we got spring ball. So now we evaluate who our needs are after spring ball with the new signees. We still have probably 5, 6 scholarships left. So now we'll go through spring ball and see where our most needs are after spring ball. And we address that with the next portal after spring ball portal to, if we say, well, the receivers we signed didn't pan out. Okay, we're going to sign 2 more receivers. Or the corners, then one got hurt and the other one didn't pan out. We got to sign 2 more corners. So that's how you evaluate your needs. After you get the scholarships back in line, you save a couple. And now we go through spring and we see what we got and where our weakest positions are, and we sign a couple more guys in those positions. Or anytime you get a chance to get a difference maker. If we get a defensive lineman from Clemson that's a difference maker that's going to start and be all confident, you sign it. I do. I don't know about everybody else, but I do. So you get a difference maker.
Makes sense. Sure. Yeah. So makes sense here. With that being said, you talked a little bit about the depth of the Eastern Division. Obviously, FAMU, Jackson State at the top. You also have Alabama State, huge in-state rival in terms of the depth that's there in Valley as continue to push forward and move the needle in terms of what they're seeking to do. But let's talk about your overall schedule. What are your thoughts?
Eddie Robinson told me to tell y'all he coming.
I know he's swag too, so I have no doubt. He's out of Houston, and so we've gotten to know him quite a bit. And I know y'all get together and it gets really interesting in terms of story. So I'll let him know. Tell him we are seeking him. We want to bring him on for spring practicing and give him some questions and let us know how he's doing down there. But we want to make this a little special. Y'all earned it, at least in terms of the rankings with the top 3 classes as ranked by what other published that's out there, in this case, Light on Sports. So we wanted to separate you all a little bit and give you a chance to talk about that. But talk about your schedule in terms of how it came together. How are you feeling about your schedule coming into next year?
It's a great schedule, man. It's a great schedule. We got a lot of great football games. We start off with Vanderbilt, of course, and then we have Lane, and Lane is a good D2 team, man. They beat Tennessee State last year, so that's no cakewalk, man. You know, that'd be our home opener. And I think then we got Southern. We got to go to Southern. Got to go to Baton Rouge, man. You know how tough it is down there, and play Dooley and those guys. That's going to be a great atmosphere, another great game. And then we come back home, play Pine Bluff for our second home game, and then we got homecoming, of course, with Tuskegee. It's another, you know, it's our homecoming game, but it's not just a game that you chalk up as a win. We got to come out and play well. We have to come out and we have to play well to win that game. And let me see. After that, who we got? Jackson. I think we got Jackson somewhere. Yeah. I think we got Jackson in Mobile. Then we got a week off, and then we got the Classic. We got to go. We got to play Eddie Robinson again in the Classic. And then after that, we got FAMU.
It was a classic matchup, man. Y'all had some good games in there.
Yeah. So after that, we got FAM at home. And then we finish up with Bethune and Valley. So that's a great schedule, man. We got great games every week. You know, but we treat them all the same anyway. We treat every game like it's a championship game. We respect all and fear none. So we just got to keep getting prepared every week and roll our sleeves up and be ready to fight for 12 rounds, man.
Be remiss if I didn't give you the last word to share anything that you want to share in this space, either this with the fans or just in general.
I just want to thank y'all, man, for y'all doing a super job, HBCU. Y'all just doing a great job of covering us and spotlighting us and these young men. That's what it's about. It's about these young men. And, you know, I've been HBCU all my life, from Winston-Salem State to A&T, where I played at, to Fayetteville State for 10 years as assistant coach and coordinator, to Winston-Salem State as the head coach at Hampton University, now to A&M. And that's what it's about. It's about helping these young men develop and get ready for the real world. So, again, appreciate y'all for everything that y'all do to spotlight these guys, because that's what it's about. Everything I do is for them. Everything I do is for them. And everything y'all do is for us. So I just want to say I appreciate y'all. The job y'all are doing.
No doubt about it. And we appreciate you, Coach. Continue to do what you do for them. Continue to provide us the opportunity to show the world what you're doing. And with that said, we hope to bring you back during spring ball, give us some updates and let us know how things were looking, where you're charting the course, and how things are going. So you certainly have a spot during spring ball. We'll see if we can get you back on.
All righty. I love it. I love it.
All right. Appreciate you, Coach. It's good seeing you. We'll be right back after this last break. We'll come back on the other side and give you some updates in terms of HBCU news that's out there, keeping you in context. We'll be right back after this last break.
People think unusual circumstances means complicated taxes. But for a TurboTax Live expert like me, it just makes things interesting. So, give us everything you've got.
What if I'm a professional gamer with a ton of expenses?
If they help drive views, let's talk deductions.
What if I'm in a state with no income tax, but my survival videos are viewed in 38 countries?
I can help. And if this is a business dinner, save those jerky receipts. An interesting life can mean an even greater refund. You do your thing. We've got your taxes. Intuit TurboTax Live.
Verizon just gave us all a brand new iPhone 13.
We've been customers for years. I thought new phones were for new customers. We got iPhone 13s too, switched to Verizon 2 minutes ago.
Ours were busted, and we still got a shiny new one.
Check it out. So wait, everybody gets the same great deal.
I think that's the point.
iPhone 13 on us. For every customer. Current, new, everyone. On any unlimited plan. Starting at just $35. All on the network more people rely on.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Out on assignment, so we have none other than Charles Bishop and A.D. Drew. Drew, before we get up and talk about some of these key games last weekend, I just want to let Brian know, you can tell him that I had my shirt with it. So my expectation, I want to see some purple and gold. I don't want to see just no purple. I don't want to see just no gold. I don't want to see no yellow. I want purple and gold with some PV on it somewhere and tell him he better do that fast tracking. If he don't have it in there, he need to get that fast tracking for Sunday. He got a couple of days to get it right. So let him know, Mel.
I know Amazon Prime will get them hooked up by Sunday. I don't know if there any local sports stores in Orlando, Florida, they may have some PV gear, but I definitely know Amazon Prime will have at least hooked up by Friday night, Saturday at the latest.
There you go. There you go. Charles, see, we told you folks don't play with us. I don't know why they don't play with me. We tell you about this Texas two-step. We've been saying it for the last 10 years. Be careful when you come over here in Texas. Take that Texas two-step. It's a hard trip. But, Rattlers, they knew everything. So sometimes you got to walk them in the right way.
And so
congratulations. We did get the game on Saturday with Texas Southern. So we want to make sure you set the record straight. But that Monday Madness.
Yeah. I was saying, and to the fans of the ONG Strike Zone, I apologize. I was controlling the mic, and I did not hit the mute button, and I let Brian put his foot in his mouth. So I apologize to all my fellow Rattlers out there and the fans of the ONG Strike Zone. I should have shut his mic off like we always say we need to do, Dr. Cavil. That's okay.
There you go. There you go. I do want to shout out the Rattlers.
Bad producer.
They came down from Houston and Dallas. They were in the house, Texas Southern HBCU Arena, and they represented well. Well done. Those are the things that we expect to get done, not just football, but in basketball, because we take that seriously as well. With that being said, sticking with you, Charles, what was your biggest game or two that you thought about this past weekend? And then what will be your key matchup coming up this weekend, SWAC or MEAC?
I think Southern getting knocked off in Alabama. I call it barbecue trail when they head over to Alabama to do that two-step with Alabama A&M. Yeah, with Alabama A&M and Alabama State. With
the white barbecue sauce?
Exactly, with the white barbecue sauce. But that was surprising to me. They were playing some great basketball going into that road trip. And it's like I mentioned, when you have those second-tier teams in the SWAC that have the ability to knock off the first-tier teams, that's what jumped out at me this weekend. And then, of course, on the women's side, I think just Jackson State continue to do what they do on the SWAC side.
That's not right. That's not right.
Yeah, they come back with a vengeance. Yeah,
and we're used to them winning, but they're pounding people. So pay attention in terms of the level of play that they're playing in terms of team, because the rest of the teams are really close and you see a good matchup. But every time you come to Jackson State, man, they just get after you.
Yeah, and still significant injury with Maya Crump not in the lineup, which is who was a big piece of that championship team last year.
Real good point. Good point. To you, AD Drew, what were your thoughts? Any key matchup that stood out to you, whether the MEAC or SWAC, in terms of the major division, and any key matchup you want to keep eyes on coming into this weekend?
Well, I want to talk about a matchup. One was a conference matchup. One was a non-conference matchup. And I want to start off focusing on the non-conference matchup in the Michael B. Jordan Classic, which was Norfolk and Hampton. And I'm not really focusing on the ball game. It was a good it was a decent ball game, a good competitive ball game. What I want to focus on is the fact that two schools that are 21 minutes apart on the Chesapeake Bay have played two times this basketball season. One time in Las Vegas in the Chris Paul Invitation, and Saturday in Newark, New Jersey, in the Michael B. Jordan Classic. So I just found that interesting that two rivals, 21 minutes apart, took not one, but both of their games out of their home markets to two totally different markets. Now, for the fans in Vegas and the fans in Jersey, especially in Jersey, Newark, New Jersey, I know both of those schools probably have a decent alumni base in the New Jersey New York area. But I just found that interesting when you really sit and think about it. And then 13,000 at that Michael B. Jordan event, and you heard us say it on the SportsWrap on Sunday. 13,000. It's been some football games that some of those teams who played in that Michael B. Jordan event did not get 13,000 in the football stadium, and you got that many people in a basketball arenas. So, kudos to Michael B. Jordan and the organizers of that event. But like I said, I just thought it was interesting that a game that with two teams are 20 minutes apart would be a part of a classic that was in a different state that drew that kind of crowd.
Good points. Good stuff. 13,451 was the recorded attendance that Drew is alluding to, and you're right. That was significant. That was one of the first things that caught my eyes. Those are the things I always like to look at, and this group knows. I pointed it out as soon as I saw it that evening as I came up to it, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. In terms of television, it looked that way. It looked good on television. They had the Battle of the Bands, if you would, during intermediate break. They brought Texas Southern Ocean of Soul Band in there, Charles, played between the two games and gave some love. So I thought it was fascinating. We're going to close here, but I want to keep your eyes on a couple of games in terms of what will be interesting to me this weekend. In terms of both men's and women's, that Prairie View at Southern, be fascinating to see what goes on there in terms of the Saturday matchup. So I'm curious what that would look like. Obviously, that Jackson and FAMU, I'm just interested just because of what they do on the football. Always interested in what they look like in basketball. FAMU is playing a little better. All kidding aside, they play really good at Texas Southern. Kind of stuff they told us you see on Monday nights, but they're playing some good basketball. Jackson
FAMU might not even get 100 points between the two teams.
Yeah, they don't like to put it in the hoop.
Neither one of them like to put the ball in the hole. They like they're allergic to it.
But on the MEAC side, another game that you certainly want to keep your eyes on is going to be fascinating this weekend is Norfolk State and Maryland Eastern Shore. That's the one that has me real interested in terms of what's going on there. That is Saturday. And so Norfolk State is coming, but Maryland Eastern Shore is showed they're right there. That's going to be interesting. Central is really stuck with Memorial State. Another one. And then Monday, you have Maryland Eastern Shore and Howell. Yeah. So you got top teams facing off this weekend. Things could get muddier, a little clearer. But I'm interested to see what the Hawks coming in now with the number one. Now they are the hunted versus the hunter. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like in terms of that key matchup. Also want to see your Tennessee State on the men's side. Can they continue this trend where they've won 3 straight? So those are very interesting matchups for me. That'll do it for us in terms of the show tonight. I want to say thank you for checking us out and continue to listen. Hope you enjoyed the interview. When the top 3 ranked classes, I should say, with Coach T.C. Taylor of Jackson State University, Coach Willie Simmons of Florida A&M University, and Connell Maynor of Alabama A&M. So I want to say thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watson, Charles Bishop, and A.D. Drew. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be right back on Thursday and give you some mid-major updates. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyattaCavil. Again, that's Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, DrKenyattaCavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter. That's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you like and subscribe. Download my JDN, my BCSN. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
A.D. Drew.
Lecture.
Dismiss.
Well,